Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing, and today we've got a very stout combination to test out. It's one that a number of you guys requested to see the last time we tried this choke combo, and I'm definitely excited to see what it can give us as well, because I have some pretty decent hopes for it. These shells are some pretty nasty performers anyway, and this choke has shown us some nice results, so putting the two of them together I think should give us a pretty nasty performance down there on the target as well. But for the shells we're going to be running, I brought out some more of these. The Winchester Super X buckshot loads, but these ones are the 12 gauge 3.5 inch 54 pellet load of 4 buck, moving about 1150 feet per second. These are a very stout shell. 54 pellets of 4 buck is a lot of shot flying down range. Do you need a 3.5 inch load with that many pellets for your average deer hunt or predator hunt if you're using 4 buck? Definitely not. This is overkill on your shoulder, on your cheek weld, and potentially on the animal as well, but I know there's a bunch of people out there that want the biggest shell they can get, and this might be that if you want a 4 buck load. But these have always been some pretty good performers for us, so we'll see how they do through today's choke combo. But as for today's setup, I brought out my Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for that choke, we've got a Patternmaster Black Mamba 690 constriction. A lot of you guys wanted to see this combination, and I think it's probably going to be a pretty good one. As for reference, this is a 690 constriction, which is full to maybe extra full depending on what shotgun you have in 12 gauge. Different brands and models will have slightly different full choke constriction ranges, but in an 835, 690 is very much a turkey choke. If you don't know, the 835s are overboard. The inside of their barrel is 10 gauge specs, so 690 is pretty tight in comparison, but it seems to be a very good constriction range for 4 buck, so I've got high hopes for this combo for sure. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the target at 40 yards, the chrono so we can get our velocity, and the templates that we can lay up over our results. So let's get you guys to view that target. I'll head over here and take our shot. Hope that I don't break my cheekbone in the process, because these are some very hot recoiling shells, but we'll be all right and see what we're capable of getting. I've got high hopes for it, so let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1167 through the chrono. Boss claims 1150, so we were right there at it, and just a little bit over it. And clearly, that's plenty enough velocity for this load, that's for sure. And like I remembered, they are very stout in the recoil department as well. So you're gonna know it if you shoot these shells, that's for sure. But how well did they pattern through that Black Mamba down there at 40 yards? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and like I was suspecting, that is a devastating pattern, no doubt about it. We might have been a little bit low and a touch to the left. Could have been me, could have just been the choke and shell combo, impacting a little differently than some others, but we still kept the vast majority of our pattern on the paper here, and it is pretty impressive. I did circle and measure everything. We had 49 pellets on the paper. The overall spread was 32.5 inches. However, we had 19 inches for our main majority core area right there in the middle of the screen. We had a nice hot area pellets, nice even area pellets throughout the main core area. We did throw a couple little flyers. There's one over there. There's a couple little pieces off the top and down there off the bottom as well. And obviously we're missing 5 pellets. They could have went to the left. They could have went a little low. They could have not even been in the shell in the first place. I've seen that on numerous occasions. Not from these particular shells, I don't believe just yet, but it's not impossible anyway. But we are missing 5 pellets off our paper. Either way, I don't think you can argue one bit with that kind of a pattern. That is absolutely going to be devastating no matter what you shoot with it. Whether it be smaller vermins, you know, groundhogs, raccoons, possums. I don't know why you would use this load for that, but you could, I guess. All the way up through fox and coyote and your predators. That would be very effective. And pig and deer hunting, that's going to be devastating as well. They ain't making it through that kind of a pattern. So if you're a 3.5 inch guy, that's a pretty devastating performer right there, that's for sure. So it already looks very nice on just the blank sheet of paper, but we'll throw a few templates up and see just how good this pattern might actually be. So first up, we have our 10-inch circle, and if I move it to where the core of the pattern actually was, we had about 18 pellets within there, with a couple right on the edge, kind of half in and half out. And you can see it's a nice, even, hot core as well. You might have a touch of a tiny little void, kind of top left corner area there, but still, that is smaller than the size of your fist, so that right there is gonna be devastating, no doubt about it. Looking good for a 10-inch circle for our core area, but we'll throw some animal templates up and see what it would have looked like if you would have taken that combo out in the woods. So next up here, we have our deer template. I went ahead and gave it the benefit of the doubt and moved it down to where our pattern actually was. I don't think it really would have mattered anyway. If you would have actually had the point of aim up there and hit a little low in your shot, it still would have done the job. But you can clearly see, absolutely covered in pellets. That is easily half of the shell right through the lungs area. But you can also see that you probably would have hit almost everything in that deer as well. So that may very well be just too many pellets for you to want to shoot at a deer. Like I mentioned earlier, you definitely do not need a 3.5-inch 54 pellet load for a deer hunt scenario. Your standard 2 3/4 27 or 3-inch 41 is plenty good enough. But if you're a 3.5-inch guy, that's a nasty combo for you right there. You could use that on a still hunt, sitting in a tree stand or something. You could do deer drives with that, run them with dogs, whatever the case is. You got a little bit more leeway to work with while still obviously just hammering them with a ton of pellets. And I don't think there's ever going to be a deer that at 40 yards can make it through that kind of a pattern. They're pretty tough animals, but I don't think they're that tough. So completely devastating on a deer, that's for sure. Next up here, we have the hog template, and it's the exact same story for those guys. If you want to pig hunt with that load, they're not going to appreciate it very much. They're not making it very far off of that kind of a pattern. I would say if you want to get as many pellets in them as you can, and pretty much knock them down right then and there, if you're hunting with shotguns, that might be the option for you right there. You would absolutely cover them, and I think it's going to knock them down pretty quick. If you wanted to use a 3.5-inch load for predator hunting, if you're one of those guys, a coyote would be a little bit smaller body size than what that template is, and obviously you would absolutely cover them in pellets. They're not making it through that either. That is easily a 50 to 60 yard capable shell in a predator situation, and potentially even farther than that as well. You're probably going to run out of energy before pattern capability. Even when it comes to hogs and deer, that would still be a 50 to 60 yard capable pattern. It just depends on how far you want to push for buck as far as energy and penetration goes. So overall, like I suspected, very devastating results. We did throw a few flyers around the edges, which is nothing too surprising or too major, but you have plenty enough pellets to make up for it, that's for sure. It's a nice even spread throughout the core area. There's a ton of pellets there. So overall, nothing to complain about here, I don't think. If you want to use a 3.5-inch 4-buck load, you've got an 835 and a Black Mamba choke, that's a nasty performer right there all day long. Would I ideally want to use a 3.5-inch shell on a hunting scenario myself? Probably not, but if that's what I had or what I could get my hands on, then I know that out to 40 yards, it'd be more than effective for anything I'd need it for, that's for sure. Alrighty, well, what did y'all think about that combo right there? I expected some devastating results coming into it, and I think it pretty well delivered. That's a big shell with a lot of pellets flying down range, and it isn't even anything fancy. They're unplated pellets with no wad. It's just a buffered load of buckshot, and it's giving us patterns like that. So I'm curious what the federal copper-plated version of this shell can actually do, because I've got a 3.5-inch 4-buck copper-plated load as well, and I think we're probably going to have to try that combo now after seeing that, because those shells might even be better or tighter of a pattern than that is, and you really don't even need it after seeing that. But I think it would be pretty interesting to see what it could do. Either way, I don't think you can argue with that. Really, the only complaint you would have is it's a 3.5-inch shell. It's going to cost more, and it's going to recoil more, and you might hit just about every cut of meat on whatever you're aiming at too, unfortunately. But if you're a 3.5-inch guy, that's the combo for you. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these 3.5-inch 54 pellet Super X shells, and if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is this a combo you would hunt with, or is it just too much shell, too many pellets, too much recoil for you, or is that exactly what you're looking for? And what other shell or choke combos do you want to see with either these particular loads or that Patternmaster choke in the 835? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.